Hey guys, and welcome to another video. If you're new here, my name is Beneri Bello, and you're welcome. If you're not new, thanks for returning. So I promised you guys I was going to do a video on depression and how I got over it, and I'm actually really glad I am making this video right now because if I hadn't gotten over it, if I'm still depressed, I probably wouldn't be able to make this video. I won't even be able to bring myself to sit in front of the camera. So, firstly, I am appreciative that I've been able to get over it and, pick up the pieces of my life. One of the worst parts about being depressed was the fact that I didn't even know that I was depressed. I was struggling so much after the death of my dad, and I hate saying the death of my dad. That particular sentence or phrase always triggers me. From the day I heard he has gone to be with the Lord till like 4 months or even 5 months throughout, the December period and all that, I was a shadow of myself. I was living life, but I was not existing. I was existing, I was existing, but I was not living life. I was bland. I was still. I was just moving on autopilot. I wasn't doing any workings. It was just blank. It was crazy blank. And I honestly cannot even understand those people that started, I feel like this is something I'll talk about later, but I just, have to put it in here because people did not really know how much I struggled. And I just discovered my mic stopped working and I don't know where I stopped. So if this video kind of jumped, please pardon me. Yeah, I honestly don't know where I'm going to be starting from, but I think I was talking about how angry I was. I was so angry. I was so angry. I can't express how angry I was, but I was filled with so much anger. Anger to God, especially to the universe. I was just angry with everything, okay? I was just angry with everything. Everybody was a problem. I was just filled with so much anger and I didn't know where to channel my pain. There's how you would feel so much pain and you just wanted to go away and you're just looking for somebody to channel it to. You're just looking for somewhere to channel the pain to. You just want to punch somebody. You just want the pain to go away, like go away or reduce, you know? And God, I don't wish this on my worst enemy, to be honest. I don't. And sometimes you have to experience certain things to understand the full extent to how much it can hurt or how much it can damage you or how much void it can leave. As humans, we actually imagine pain. We imagine certain scenarios and we're like, oh, what if they just come and tell me now that my dad died? How will I feel? And then you feel some kind of emotions and you're like, oh my God. Believe me, whatever you're feeling, multiply it by 100. In fact, multiply it by a million, and you've not even started. The pain I was feeling stopped me from going to church. I didn't go to church for a very long time. For a very long time. I think I started going to church in December. And that's because I was surrounded with, my background and my family were Christians and all of that. And people dealt with it in different ways. My mom dealt with it in a different way. She actually, there are so many revelations after his death and how he made heaven and glory to God. That's one of the biggest consolation, the fact that he made it to heaven. That gave us a little peace, and especially my mom, her husband of how many years. I can't even imagine how much pain she must have been going through and she's going through currently because, like I said, we will never be able to recover fully from that pain. Yeah. So, sorry. I'm kind of tearing up and I'm trying to fight it. So she was dealing with it in a different way. She was dealing with it in a way where she wanted to get closer to God, so that she can run the race the way my dad ran his race and, make it and have as much people, dream and God revealed so many things to them about him making heaven. She wanted that. She wants to be close to God and make sure that whenever it's time for her to go, she would also make it to heaven. So she was dealing with it in a different way. She was dealing with it from a point of, oh, it's God's plan. God wanted to call his servant home because he was actually really sick before he died. So she was there taking care of him by his side all day. So she actually felt like, God took his pain away, and she was dealing with it from a different light. And I was dealing with it from a baby girl just lost her dad, the most precious person, her first love, my hero. Oh, that man has taught me a lot. That man is, oh my God. I was dealing with it from a point of pain, anger, loss. I was missing him. I just was dealing with it from the void that I felt. So I wasn't dealing with it the way she was dealing with it. I was angry. I didn't want to go to church. And my mom was dealing with it from a different angle. My elder sister too was kind of dealing with it from both angles. She wanted to be more closer to God so that she can also make it to heaven. And she was also angry. And she also felt like she had so much pressure on her as a first child. So we're all dealing with it from different angle. I was just dealing with it from a spoiled brat angle. Where's my daddy? Why did you take my daddy away from me? Like, what do you mean you called him home? What do you mean? I was so angry, God. And I didn't go to church. And I have one of the best church in the world. I swear that church is the best. It's the right thing for me right now. I've been going to church from December, the beginning of December, and it was time for crossover, and we're moving into the new year. And I was in church, and I remember somebody was giving a testimony, of how God saved her mother, and how her mother was, I think she had cancer, and then God saved her mother and all of that. And I'm like, you could save this person's mother, but you couldn't save my dad. It was like everything I believed in was a lie. Because when he was sick, we prayed, we fasted, we prayed. In fact, we prayed, but when nothing bad has ever happened in your family, and you're like, it can't happen, we can't lose daddy. Like, he's a pastor, like a very strong man of God. And you're like, no. And he kept saying God was going to heal him. And we believed it because he's a powerful man of God. He hears God. If God says he's going to heal him, we're going to heal him. And he kept saying, God is going to ease his pain. God is going to heal him. God is going to. He was dealing with so many things, and he just believed God was going to heal him. I kind of felt like my dad gave God permission to take him home. So I was not even only angry at God, I was also angry at my father. And I was just angry. I was just filled with so much anger. And I remember after the testimony on the 31st of December, I was crying so much and praying. And I was like, that love-hate relationship where you actually hate somebody, but that's the person that owns the solution to your problem. I knew that God was the only person that could help me in that situation. I knew God was the only person I could call that could get me out of how I was feeling and how bad my life was going, because everything was going bad. Because I couldn't focus on anything. I was questioning so many things. I didn't know who I was again at that point, okay? Because like I said, there are so many situations surrounding this in my first video, right? I was trying to rediscover myself. It was as if everything I knew was a lie. So it came with so much heat for me. And I was praying, I was crying, I was telling God, I can't move into the new year feeling this way. I know I have to start picking up the pieces of my life. I know I have to start healing, but I want to start healing from now. I want that peace. Okay, I want that extra peace. I want that. I just can't fight anymore. I can't fight you anymore. I can't fight my dad anymore. I was angry at him, like I said. I was fighting everybody, everything, and I can't fight anymore. I'm tired. I have a life. I have to live it. I need to start living. I need to start feeling again. And I cried. I don't think I've ever cried as much as I cried that day. And I groaned. I think that's the word I should use. I groaned. And it was a prayer session, right? But me, I was praying for something. Everybody were praying for the new year and all of that and the resolution. All I wanted was just peace and just a little bit of the burden I felt, the pain that I felt, the anger that I felt to be taken away. So I was just groaning. I was groaning. I was groaning. Then when I finished praying, I just felt peace. And from that day, I was recovering. I started healing, of course, but I just had peace. I still felt pain, but peace. I felt peace even amidst the pain, amidst the confusion, amidst me questioning myself and the life that I'm living and what I want to start doing. I'm trying to discover myself. I'm trying to figure out if all my life has been a lie, the decision I have made, because I made so many decisions based on my dad and who he was, the position he occupied at the time. And I had so many things to restructure about myself. But amidst all of those confusion, I felt peace. And that peace made me just realize that everything was going to be all right and I was going to get back on my feet and I was going to get better and good things were going to come afterwards. So, yes, as much as I was intentional about getting out of depression, as much as I had to, become self-aware, because I feel like that's where it started from, realizing that I was actually depressed, like really, really depressed on another level. There's this kind of maxed depression, and I feel like that's the worst kind of depression. It's maxed, is deep inside that you have to like dip your hand in and fetch it out and be like, you are the cause of my problems. That was the kind of depression I was feeling. It was maxed, and me having to, realize that I was depressed was like my first step. Okay, and then taking intentional steps, because I know a lot about getting out of depression. I had to be intentional. I spent so much time in my family, friends. I spent so much time with loved ones because I had to start getting intentional about getting myself back. So yeah, I spent so much time with my friends. I was intentional about doing things that made me happy. um I went by the books, of getting out of depression. But if I'm being honest, okay, I don't like being very sentimental about when it comes to faith, especially when it comes to faith and all of that. But I can tell you that God was the one that actually got me out of depression. God was the one that made me be able to see this day, because I would have probably committed, you know, unalived myself, because it was that bad. Yes, it was. It was really, really that bad. And I just really thank God for my friends, my close friends. I wish I could mention their names right now. And I'm very grateful for my immediate family. It brought us closer to ourselves. This also brought us closer to God, because that feeling where you're like, oh, someone is praying for me. Someone is praying for me. I got nothing to worry about. I actually even still know and still feel like so many things have been prayed for already. I don't have to worry. The foundation has already been laid. Do you know the kind of prayers my parents always pray? I know my dad has made so many preparations, has prayed, has, set the path for us in so many things, spiritually, physically, and even mentally, right? So yeah, I am covered. I know I'm covered. But then we have to still get closer to God, because you're like, okay, now I have to, like, keep the fort. So yes, we actually, it changed us in a lot of ways. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, the major reason I got out of depression was by God's intervention. I'm not even gonna lie. And even when I talk about depression, getting over depression, in my previous videos, I've always known that depression is both mental and spiritual. Okay. But I feel like this one was majorly spiritual, because I had to deal with it from the spiritual aspect before even going to the mental aspect, because that piece had to come before I was even able to tackle the mental part of it. Like it's like that dose of glucose that even gives you the strength to stand up and be like, okay, I have to do this and do that. So yeah, I'm really grateful to God for, getting me through that very dark hole and that very dark space, because no one else would have done it for me. My friends tried, family tried, and yeah. So yeah, I think this is all. This is all the video on depression and all that. And I think I'm going to make another video on rediscovering myself and navigating life, my new career path, and yeah, having to leave the old one, how it felt. Changing career path in your late 20s is not an easy thing. It's not a joke. Thank you guys for sitting through this video with me. I really appreciate it, and see you guys in my next video.